there's 1.8 million immigrants in the state of Illinois. It's 14% of the population. And when you think about the fabric of our state and city, 14% of that is made up by immigrants who were at one point new arrivals. And so investing in them to find stability, it's important that they find a home and make a life in our state and the city.
Yeah, so when we came over, it was 1990. I was about 4.5 years old. We crossed the border by California, and it was my mom and my brother and me, and my dad had been here already for 4 years. My dad worked at a meatpacking factory, and then he lived in an apartment, like a 2-bedroom apartment, with like 10 other men, most of them from our hometown in Oaxaca. And because my mom and my brother and I were coming, like they actually all moved into 1 bedroom and into the living room and allowed my family to stay in one of the bedrooms. We didn't have anything, right? Like we had whatever clothes we were wearing at the day of crossing, and we didn't have any money, but we had a place to sleep. And we had, other folks that we could ask about how to enroll in school, how my mom could start thinking about getting work. And I think that that's sort of like, from my experience the last few months, most folks that are arriving don't have anybody here. So I think that the folks arriving in buses is very different and very new that we had to solve for. When the first bus was going to arrive, and we had like 24 hours notice, we didn't know what time it was going to arrive. We didn't know where. We thought it was going to go to the shelters, and when it ended up at Union Station, we frantically got in the car and like made our way over to Union Station, and folks were already there. So I didn't actually see folks get off the bus the first day, but the second day, once we started seeing folks get off the bus, the second time that buses arrived, I thought it was so special to see the moment people step off the bus and see Chicago. Because I remember the moment that I met my dad when I got here, and it was literally through a van's doors opening, and now it's like a bus door opening that people are starting their lives and like gonna figure it out and like, maybe have very few plans and don't know what is next. But it's a starting point, a brand new starting point and a brand new opportunity. And I think immigrants come here, all of us come here with huge hopes and dreams. And to be able to see that moment start for them was really special.
In those early days, it was sort of a beautiful chaos in terms of everyone wanting to help and coming together, but not fully having a rhythm or knowing exactly next steps. But I think one of the things that made that possible is just the compassionate and innovative approach the state has taken, and the city as well, to new arrival.
The first thing that folks need is food. They usually arrive very hungry, and then they really want a shower, and then they just want a place to sleep. And after a couple of days, como que it settles in, like I'm here, I know I gotta figure out what my next steps are. And that starts being like legal services, and that starts being like more permanent housing.
One of the things once families started finding shelter was thinking about education, right? And so once we were able to provide early childhood education on site at hotels, once we were able to work with Chicago Public Schools and the Illinois State Board of Education to get students enrolled in K through 12 programs, you really started to see them flourish in a way. Once they were able to get a new backpack filled with all of the supplies, once they were able to go to school for the first time, just that opportunity to be a kid again really helped remind that after those most pressing immediate needs, there are those additional factors that just really are so important.
So for most folks, when they go to the border, all of their documents are taken away from them, their passports, their birth certificates, things like that. And then they're given a new, just like printed paper with their picture on it. And so when they get here, they really need some sort of identification. I mean, what can you do without identification, right? And so the city key, city clerk Ana Valencia, her program that she runs has been really crucial in making sure folks are able to have that city key to enroll their kids in school.
When we were working with resettlement case management and establishing the Asylum Seeker Emergency Rental Assistance Fund, or ASRAP, to provide 6 months of emergency rental assistance, folks need an ID to get a lease. And so really having that city key, which is available to anyone, and doesn't carry as many of the requirements as getting a state ID, made a huge difference.
Well, we've been building for 9 months to make sure that we're taking into account the unique needs that new arrivals have. And I think it's allowing us to be able to get more innovative in how we're going to meet these needs. The challenges are a little bit different. And I think, with the city and with the state and with the community organizations that already have this established network, I think we can scale up.
Well, you and folks like you are what make me proud, knowing just your passion for the field for essentially your entire life and certainly professional career, and the self-sacrifices you made to welcome people in person. That's really what made the difference. And yes, we are lucky that we had a governor and have a governor and county president and mayor that support new arrivals, but folks aren't seeing that when they step off the bus. They're seeing you. And so that's really what makes them feel welcomed.